Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to the first Eva for Action event in 2021, the Informal Dialogue. My name is Sosin Zatari, and I am your moderator for today. And supporting me in the production is a team of young and emerging evaluators from Slava. A few reminders before we begin. If you haven't renamed your name, please rename it into your region, first name, and last name. Please keep your microphone and video disabled unless otherwise instructed. And we urge you to engage in the chat bar with any questions, any ideas, anything that would support us for today's event. We have a very rich and engaging agenda today. We will start with the opening remarks, objectives of the dialogue, and a summary of the progress for 2020 by our very own Eval for Action co-leaders. And then we will hear from the regional representatives on the regional presentations. We will then look at the highlights and proposed ideas for 2021 based on the survey results that we took a while back. And then we are going to move on to the breakout sessions, as with every Eval for Action consultation. We will then come back from the breakout sessions, and a presenter representing the region will present to us the highlights of the discussions. Then we will conclude with the summary and way forward. To kick us off with the welcome remarks, please welcome our very own Eval for Action co-leader and the director of UNFPA Evaluation Office, Marco Sigoni. Marco, the mic is yours.
Well, thank you very much, Sausan, and really hello to everybody. It's really a very great pleasure to be here with all of you. And it's really great to start 2021 by coming together and collectively decide what should be the priorities for 2021 when it comes to Eval for Action. But just very briefly, let me remind me that we are just coming out from an unprecedented year, 2020, where we had really a health crisis with more than 2 million people who died globally, more than 200 million who were infected. But that's also meant a socioeconomic crisis with a high number of people who lost their job, who fall back in poverty and even in hunger. And also a crisis, a human development crisis, with schools that closed or went in remote all over the world, health systems that are suffering or even in some cases collapsing. And the worst is that the most disadvantaged populations were hit the most, leaving them farther behind. Without forgetting that the climate crisis is getting worse and worse. So all of this means a major setback for the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, 2021 is the year in which hopefully the world will turn the page. It's the year where hopefully the world will come together for the recovery, but not any recovery. A recovery that should be equitable and sustainable, meaning green. And evaluation has a major role to play in this, because as we all know, evaluation tells us what works for whom, under what circumstances, and why. But to be able to do that, evaluation must be equity focused and gender responsive, as well as country-led. And that's why national evaluation capacity is paramount. No single organization or ministry can do it alone. We need a multi-stakeholder partnership. And that's what Evaluation for Action is. It's really an advocacy campaign to bring everybody together, valuing the diversity that each of us can bring to the table to strengthen national evaluation capacities so that evaluation can accelerate the progress towards an equitable and sustainable world. So I'm really looking forward to hear the experience of last year and the ideas and the commitments to actions for 2021. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you, Marco. Always inspirational. And now we're going to hear of the objectives of the informal dialogue from Eval for Action co-chair and chair of the Global Parliamentarians Forum for Evaluation, Honorable Kabir Hashim. Honorable Kabir, please, the mic is yours.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me?
Not so very well. There's a lag.
I'm happy to be here
Yes.
with everyone here today on this Eval for Action informal dialogue with the regional partners. The position in the group. Sometimes I may be not. Oh, is it clear now?
Yes, much better.
My connection may not be very stable, but I'm going to try and manage. I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, there's a slight lag, but we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so being a politician, I may not be fully connected, but I've been experiencing what's going on.
No, it's not working, Sausan.
Honorable Kabir Hashim, perhaps we have, perhaps if you can stop the video, if your video is on, or we can move on to the recap and perhaps come back to the objectives once the internet is more stable. And moving on to the Eval for Action progress in 2020, while Honorable Kabir Hashim fixes his internet connection, we have Eval for Action co-leader and chair of Eval Youth Global Network, Khalil Bitar. Khalil, please, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Sausan. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you. Could you please also play the PowerPoint presentation? Well,
the world is grappling to recover from the COVID-19 pandemic.
The midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has affected all our lives.
Evaluation is key to bring in transformational change.
And I say, if not now, when?
I am proud to virtually launch the decade of Evaluation for Action.
We support the Eval for Action.
Joining the Eval for Action.
Joining Eval for Action.
Joining Eval for Action campaign.
Eval for Action campaign.
Joining Eval for Action.
Joining this campaign.
The Eval for Action.
We are happy to join Eval for Action.
Support the Eval for Action campaign.
We are happy to be part of this campaign.
IOC is committed.
We commit to
UNFPA commits.
Commit ourselves to action.
I commit.
I commit to. We commit.
The Mexico Ceval
committed for action.
We commit.
I commit. I commit to action for influential evaluation.
The world is grappling.
The world is still grappling. But thank you, Sausan, for the video. There was a slide before to introduce, but it's okay. Thanks, Marco and Kabir, for your wonderful, warm welcome messages. And good morning, afternoon, and evening to all of you, dear colleagues. Glad to connect with you all, and I hope you all are doing well. In my presentation, I will focus on the campaign's progress during the last year, the first year of the campaign. We thought first to play this short video that introduces to some of the activities, which nicely introduced to the presentation also I will be playing. And now I have about 7 minutes, and I will use these 7 minutes to highlight 7 aspects where I think the campaign last year made a difference and something for food of thought for us to consider for this year and hopefully the years after. First, we have 116 partners and continuing from all around the world. What is really special is not only the number of partners, but also the range and type of partners, where they come from. For the first time, for example, we have private sector organizations, but we also have many youth chapters, and we have most of the global evaluation networks, whether national, regional, or international. This is the first one, so the partners. Second slide, please. The second one is the meaningful engagement with regions, bringing a range of stakeholders together and working really on influential evaluation, not on a global perspective and breaching to regions. Each region and all of you involved here and attending today have contributed to the process by having consultations in your own region and make an action plan or strategy in different regions. The terminology differs, but always with regional perspective. Of course, welcoming participants from all around the world, but always the regional perspective. Next slide, please. This one I'm very proud about and glad that we have achieved this is the youth involvement in Eval for Action. Perhaps I'm not exaggerating to say it was the first campaign that involved young and emerging evaluator in such genuine and serious way. And not only just by membership, but in the decision-making from the top all through the regions and the grassroots work of the campaign. Within the framework of the campaign as well, there were partnerships. For example, UNFPA Evaluation Office has supported Evaluate to do many activities. We had new chapters in India, Pakistan, now actually in Afghanistan, and many other places that started this year. So it's not all very grim year when it comes to COVID. There were many good developments. Next slide, please. Also, it is the first time where all leaders from all major evaluation network come together at this large scale and high level endorsement for the campaign. You can see through the different activities how many leaders from different countries in different languages have added to the campaign and what it aims to achieve. Next slide, please. Not only on the level of leaders and visionary leaders and global leaders, but also there was the element of mass mobilization worldwide, visibility as well of the campaign and issues exactly like COVID, SDGs, influential evaluation, connecting 27 global evaluation leaders and is on one platform. For example, the Twitter chat that many of you have participated had 225 participants, 7,100 Twitter users engaged in general, and 44 countries, 8 languages, and 23 million impressions, many impressions. And before the last, next slide, please, Sausan, is the innovative approaches actually in general, and the concrete promises and commitments to deliver action and for influential evaluation. We have seen several activities that were organized for the first time, whether the Twitter chat or the commitment drive and the global marathon. And all this prove that in order to promote evaluation, influential evaluation, you need to do it as well in innovative ways that attract people as well, not necessarily without any incentives for them. Next slide, please. And finally is the opportunity and pulling together ideas and knowledge in evaluation for the SDGs. And hearing from voices that we don't often hear from, whether in evaluation books or conferences. We try, and many of the participants so far in the blog are young and emerging evaluators, but also others. And I really invite you to look into those blogs and read them if you did not. They are really, really good. So next slide, please. So finally,
ايش يا خليل؟
أيوة. With this
مساء
final.
الخير. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. With this final 7 breakthroughs that we mentioned, I just want to say that there's only 1 year down. This is only, we did just one part of a long journey. There are, unfortunately, many risks, difficulties, and challenges I'm sure we will face because we are living in a very different world now. Nobody in 2019 knew that such a global scale challenge will happen with the COVID-19. But I think with Eval for Action and with us as partners working together, that a lot of these aspects and promoting evaluation and influential evaluation will be more important. And just a final word to say, because we had 1 year experience, I want to thank the co-leaders, the fellow co-leaders, Honor Kabir and Marco. Their vision and commitment have led this process in very, very strong way. I say particularly to Marco that often I say to our Eval Youth colleagues that perhaps he is one of the only person that we as young and emerging evaluators struggle to cope with his speed. You always think that you agreed on something and you will do the next steps, and Marco comes with the new 5 ideas to do for the campaign. So I'm very excited for the future of Eval for Action and for all of us working together. And finally, there's a kind of army that you don't see who work also in Eval for Action. Not really army, maybe more like Peace Corps. But Asella as the coordinator, Neha, Beckham, Sana, and others. And I want to recognize, we mentioned all these global activities and the regional activities. For example, with Tessie and Encompass team, we helped us accomplish a lot of these activities. So it's a lot of hard work from many people, including all of you. And I hope that you take this into consideration while you are discussing today what to do in 2021 and beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Khalil. Your presentations always leave us at the edge of our seat. And thank you everyone who is working hard to make all of this happen. I'm not sure, should we go back to Honorable Kabir's presentation of the objectives? Is the internet connection working now? Honorable Kabir?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better.
It's clearer? Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to take much of everybody's time, but I would like to thank everybody. So happy to be here at this informal dialogue with the regional partners. Being the politician in the group, I think I've seen a lot both in my country, across the world, and that 2020 was a tough year for everyone and a tough year to start any program, but Eval for Action began in 2020 in the hardest of times, and as Khalil clearly showed us the progress, we've done pretty well in a very difficult time. We've been able to create awareness through virtual discussions and programs, and we've got a long way. But I think in 2021, we need to have some concrete targets, maybe few targets, but achievable targets. We need to move beyond words and look at how we can achieve some concrete targets. Has widened between the haves and the have-nots, between the rich and the poor. As I saw somewhere, it said that the richest 10 persons have amassed over $500 billion worth of wealth. Over 500 million people are living below the poverty line. Things have got worse. COVID hasn't made things better by any chance. So this should be a key factor, because the SDG goals, clearly amongst the goals, the priority most of the priorities, if you take, one is no poverty, one is no equality, one is peace and justice. These are key issues, and we should try to look at a few goals and ensure that we are actually moving towards achieving targets. So in this respect, I'm thinking that 2021, that we should come together to try and look at these tangible objectives. Being part of the Global Parliamentary Forum for Evaluation, I would like to commit our parliamentarians to put pressure on governments to have tangible targets set for end of 2021, 2022. And for that, to get the support of the VOPES, the other groups, to work together to ensure that the evaluation process is strengthened, because that's the only way we can look at ensuring whether we are moving towards targets, to ensure that there is effective evaluation, and to ensure that countries bring in the necessary laws to strengthen the evaluation process, to have the national evaluation policies in place, and to look at the SDG units that they have in their countries to encourage country-led evaluations whose data is high quality, accessible, and reliable. In this sense, for evaluation, we have to make sure that evaluation is effected to ensure that the program is equitable, relevant, and sustainable. So this becomes a challenge, and I think one of our key objectives should be to work towards this, and that 2021, we should look at some tangible results. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kabir, for the presentation. It seems like we have a lot of work ahead of us to 2030. And now moving on to the regional presentations. Each region will have 3 minutes to present. They are in the order of the regional consultations. So we will start with Asia Pacific and end with Africa. I encourage all the participants to engage in the chat bar by asking questions or commenting, but we will take one burning question to be addressed to the presenters of each of the regions to be answered in 45 seconds. Other questions or comments will be addressed in the chat bar. And we are going to start with Asia Pacific, presented by Ana Erika Lareza, who is the co-leader of Evaluate Asia and APA coordinator. Ana Erika, please, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you, Susan. I hope everyone could hear me.
Yes.
Let me know if, okay, thank you. So maybe just very quickly, let's move on to the first slide already. So very brief introduction. Thank you, Susan, for introducing me. I'm Erika, co-leader of Evaluate Asia and also the secretariat for the Asia Pacific Evaluation Association. So for this, for the Asia Pacific region, we've had APEA, Evaluate Asia, and PFDE of South Asia receive the Eval Torch from the Global Eval for Action Global Team in June 25, 2020, where we held the first consultation of the Eval for Action campaign. And this consultation led to the development of the a committee of Eval for Action experts, which consists of many people from VOPES, the academe, the NGOs, and other partners from plural sectors, but also from other experts from other regions who came in and gave in their insights as well to help enrich the strategy further. And this strategy was then, the first draft was presented in October 9, 2020, and was officially launched and finalized in just last December 2020. So yeah, and this strategy is certainly first for the region. Could you move to the next slide, Susan, please? And it consists of 8 teams, ranging from which encompasses the professionalization of evaluation, developing partnerships, strengthening community ownership and evaluation, YEEs, NEPs, strengthening of VOPES, and use of evaluation, all of which we are all hoping to lead to the greater use of evaluation to achieve national development goals and SDGs for the Asia Pacific region. And each team has its own group of volunteers to make sure that it is implemented and the partners are mobilized for 2021 and beyond. And yeah, and APEA, Evaluate Asia, PFDESA is, leading this role of mobilizing partners and coordinating all of these people together. So one thing that ASELA is always highlighting, that this is not owned by APEA or Evaluate Asia or PFDE. This is owned by everyone, and it's for everyone to implement and to to internalize and take actions for for themselves. So next slide, please. So now the implementation of this strategy, we acknowledge that it's gonna take a lot of commitment, a lot of dedication, and a lot of time, certainly. But at the very least, under the leadership of many evaluation experts from the region, who many of which are with us here today, we were at least happy to say that we have started taking steps, taking action since the strategy was launched. So one of the example of this is Evaluation Asia, which is a 10-day virtual event, which consists of several events such as virtual regional dialogue on NEPs, the launch of IREPE. We had a talk show on use of evaluation for monitoring and reporting SDGs. And of course, we also had the first anniversary celebration of Evaluate Sri Lanka. Aside from the strategy, we also launched several products such as Guide on Use of Evaluation for SDGs, Competency Framework, and Competency Assessment Pathway for Evaluators. And other key achievements is we also now have the APC Hub, which is a group of young people, making sure that all of the partners here in Asia Pacific region are well coordinated and are communicating well with each other. And we've eval chapters in the region have been popping out, one after another, which is we are very happy and very proud of to say. So that's a very big quick wrap up for Asia Pacific region. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Erica, and thank you, Asia Pacific team, for all the remarkable work and for sharing it with us today. Next, we're going to be presenting the Middle East and North Africa, and it will be presented by me as the co-chair of Evaluate MENA and the chair of Evaluate Task Force 2. We shared our commitments to Eval for Action campaign and joined the Twitter chat as two national VOPEs, the Palestinian Evaluation Association and Eval Jordan, along with Eval MENA and Evaluate MENA. Currently, we are working on activating the role of the other less active national VOPEs in order to join the campaign as well. We launched our regional consultation and received the torch as well on July 10th, 2020, titled The MENA Region's Commitment to Action Plan to Eval for Action campaign, where we hosted speakers from Eval for Action leaders, Eval MENA and Evaluate MENA leaders, UNFPA ASRO Regional Director, a member of the Parliament, and the IOCE Vice President. We had 21 global facilitators engaging in 3 questions with over 100 global participants, 9 breakout rooms, and if I may say myself, as cheesy as this may sound, a lot of fun. Now we are working on building on years of a strong partnership with UNFPA ASRO, meeting and working together on the Regional Consultation Action Plan. We have developed a TOR with UNFPA ASRO titled Research on MENA Eval for Action Action Plan and Strategies to Promote and Utilize Evaluation for Agenda 2030. And we are strongly focusing on youth-led initiatives with youth actually leading the process and coordinating with UNFPA ASRO, building on previous experience, including developing the winter school later this year as part of the Eval for Action campaign. We encourage you all to connect with us, drop us an email at our email or on our Twitter handles. And I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the MENA team for all the great work that they have been doing for this period. Next, we are going to hear from Latin America and the Caribbean, presented by Claudia Oliveira, who is the co-chair of Evaluate LAC. Claudia, the mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you, everyone. Good morning. It's so nice to share this space with each one of you. Receive my greetings from the south, from Chile. I'm Claudia Lavarria, and these days I'm one of the co-chairs of Eval Youth Lac, as Susan just said. Could you please move to the next slide? Thank you. As many of you said, these days achieving SDGs seem far away. Gaps have gotten deeper and transformation towards achieving sustainable development in Latin America and the Caribbean and abroad are more urgent. So I think the call for action and challenges to contribute to the needed changes and the inspiration given by the work in Asia Pacific and the MENA region are very important and very valuable for us. Just one second, please. The aim of this presentation is to let you know how was the regional involvement in the Eval for Action campaign during 2020. As I only have 3 minutes available to share this with you, I will highlight the regional consultation. However, please be aware that from the region, especially but not exclusively, RELAC, Eval Youth Lac, and a few other partners actively participated in every action of the campaign that was held during 2020. And please be aware, the most important, that these days, with the generous support of FOSELAC, one of our partners, we're working in planning the steps forward. The next slide, please, Susan. As I told you, our main highlight of the presentation is the regional consultation that was held on October 1st. This event was jointly organized by RELAC, FOSELAC, UNFPA, and Eval Youth Lac. One of the most valuable results of this event for the organizing team was the diversity of the people that registered and joined the event, that allowed to widen our perspective of the evaluation community in the region. In these graphics, you can see some interesting facts about this diversity. First, we made an effort to hold this event in Spanish, Portuguese, and English to include our colleagues from Brazil and the English-speaking Caribbean. Our facilitation and speaking team was very diverse, mostly female, with a wide presence of young and emerging evaluators. 16% of the registered people declared that they belonged to a minority, and all of them were women. Here you can see some of the groups they declared they were part of. Regarding age, most of our registered participants were under 35 years with a few years of experience. Next slide, please. We discussed in 13 subgroups with the goal to discuss challenges and strategies to assure evaluation contributes to achieving SDGs in the region. Many very important challenges emerged, and the most mentioned ones were those related to the harmonization and strengthening of evaluation methodologies and processes to measure the SDGs. Second, the strengthening of the institutionalization of evaluation in the national systems. And third, were challenges related to dissemination, communication, and open spaces for participation, among many others. But it's important that people were highlighting how to do it, in what system to include these changes, and how to get involved. Next slide, please. After identifying the challenges that evaluators are facing, our goal as a team is to draw a joint roadmap to invite diverse regional actors to collaboratively plan a regional evaluation agenda to accelerate progress towards SDGs. How are we planning to do that? Well, we're working on it, and we're open to receive all your ideas and the fantastic inspiration that we just got, and the one that's coming also from the other regions. But we're planning to motivate a regional multi-stakeholder working group to plan and implement this regional agenda and start during 2020, hopefully with the support of every one of you. That's all from my side, Susan. Thank you.
Thank you, Claudia, and the Latin America and the Caribbean team for all the great work that you have done. I can see also, I want to also point out on the data visualization of your presentation, which has also been pointed out in the chat. Thank you so much. And now we're going to hear from Europe, presented by Veronica Feltis, board member of the EES. Veronica, please, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much, Susan. You want me to share the screen or it will appear from your computer?
It's on my computer. You can just tell me next and I will.
Yes, thank you very much.
Right.
Yes, so we received the torch from RELAC, and as you can see, our consultations were happening on October 21st. And we had nearly 200 participants, so we considered it really successful event. And we had 7 speakers in the plenary, 12 breakout rooms, and 24 facilitators. So it was really intensive talks, but we also took the approach of discussing very ambitious questions. Can you move on to the next slide? So due to the fact that we were discussing 3 a bit more complicated questions, we had the conclusions from those breakout rooms on several key grouped themes. So the first one was individual capacities for evaluations, that we need to work commonly on the global level about the competences for changing the evaluation field to face the challenges. Secondly, this cooperation cannot be just happening only among the evaluators. It needs to be interdisciplinary cooperation. And we need to, in order to truly transform evaluation, we need to also go out from our own field and find inspiration elsewhere, and also be able to work with others. Open data storage was really something that was appearing very often during our consultations as well. Partially this was proposed to be done by VOPES, but in general there is a huge need to learn how to use big data and for open data storages available for the global evaluation community. Fourthly, evaluation professionalization is something we urgently need on the global level, once again, also on the community level. And we need to be finding partners and keep building bridges in that. We need more innovative methods because approaching these problems with the same solutions is just not working anymore. And institutional capacities for evaluation need to be built on. And this is again, cooperation, cooperation, cooperation. Can you move on? Thank you, Sudha. So our follow-up activities are coming from our analysis of the consultations, and also we decided to merge it a bit with our discussions and the abstracts that were coming to the conference we needed to code off, but it's also partially already we have ideas upcoming for this year's conference. And in general, we keep it in 2 different themes. One is the good Anthropocene, as we call it in this group. As you can see, I was having a webinar on 17th, but this is only a few representatives of people who would love to work together onwards to develop principles, guidelines, and in general think how to work on the nexus of social and environmental and economical challenges. So this was just one of the events that we're having. And the second was also that during our consultations, we had the new thematic working group working on EU policies, including SDGs as well, and the relations of EU policies to sustainability starting. And the first event is in February 2021. So I invite just, I think the last slide. Yes, and the challenges and suggestions for the future is that it's crucial to take into account the capacities of regional VOPES, and that should be discussed within the campaign. But also those capacities are at different stages of year at different levels. So as we know, for us it was probably more complicated because we got to the most active fourth quarter of the year, which is always most complicated, I think, for evaluators anywhere. And then also it's very important to ensure the coordination of international campaigns so that we can really build up the synergies instead of confusion around. So thank you very much for letting us join this campaign and for keeping EES in this wonderful cooperation. And we're really glad to be here today and to learn also from others what can we still do and how can we work with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Veronica, and for the European team also for all the great work, and we wish you the best on your coming events. Next, we're going to hear from Eurasia, presented by Dimitrios Kondratyenko, Chair of Eurasia Network. Dimitrios, please, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam. Thank you all. So as a result of our work in 2020, we've conducted our regional consultation, which was, there were 54 participants, many of them from various regions and countries. We've made also 25 promo publications before the event and made a lot of important recommendations on how to proceed with the SDGs and all accelerating the progress of SDGs in our region. Next, please. Also, we've conducted events before our regional consultations, which included start of evaluation decade to support of action to achieve the global goals in our region, or online conference evaluation linking national priorities to the SDGs, conferences on using assessment and its results in the preparation of voluntary national reports in the implementation of SDGs, how to understand if your social project contributes to the implementation of the SDGs, and the assessment of the contribution to the state social order to the implementation of the SDGs. And if talking about our plans for this year, next please, next slide please. Our plans for the next year will include regional awareness raising activities or events for professionalization, which will also include work with universities for developing professional competencies, dismantling global knowledge in local languages for transforming evaluation from a practice to a profession, which is very important to our region. Dialogue workshops for the use of evaluation for SDGs will be conducted through work with national VOPs, donors, governments for enhancing qualifications of officers in public sphere and developing more detailed methodological guide study course for deputies, members of parliaments on the use of evaluation. Also, this will include dialogues with governments to strengthen legislative framework for evaluation through organization of regional discussion platforms and initiate development of a unified format for SDGs and report. Also, the last but not the least, and maybe the most important, will be capacity building events in our region with exchange of best practices and experience through the region on the Eurasian Evaluation Forum, which we are planning for the summer approximately. Thank you so much. Over.
Thank you, Dimitrios, and thank you to all the Eurasia team members who have also been working on this remarkable work, and good luck on all your capacity building and other initiatives for the future. We can't wait to hear more. Next, we are going to hear from Africa, presented by Fazila Hussein, the co-chair of AfriAI Network. Fazila, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sausan. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here and to be engaging at this level, and also to share what has been done so far in Africa to take forward the Evolve for Action campaign. So as you know, we had our first regional consultation as recently as 15th of December. So it wasn't a very long time ago, but the purpose and the focus of it was to re-energize the global evaluation community into action to advocate for influential evaluation, especially in Africa. The session was attended by around 75 participants, and although 300 participants registered, and it took place in English and French. And we also tried to bring in some sessions, breakaway sessions in Portuguese, to accommodate for the 3 different language groups in Africa. So the discussion points or action points that came out briefly was around professionalization of evaluation, the importance of taking that forward, and including young and emerging evaluators working on competencies and mentorships in the region, as well as evidence-informed decision-making in the public sector, developing national monitoring and evaluation policies and systems. But also what was interesting in our regional consultation was the importance of nurturing what we call the Made in Africa evaluation approach that supports the Sustainable Development Goals implementation and the achievement of the Africa we want. So what are the local approaches that we can use? Next slide, Sultan. So our way forward then after this consultation is still opening up a space for consultation. So we want to rally other partners in the region for influential evaluation on the continent. By doing that, we want to do 2 sub-regional consultations, specifically for the different sub-regions in Africa, the Francophone African countries and the Anglophone African countries, and some Portuguese-speaking countries. So everyone is included. And this will inform the launching of the Africa Action Plan or strategy that will identify activities to take forward. And also, we want that to happen by May also. So we have a list of potential sub-regional partners at the bottom and that we would like to engage with. Next slide, Sausan. So in terms of benefits, so in Africa already, we see that this regional consultation has raised awareness of the importance of evaluation in accelerating and achieving the SDGs. We also see that it helps in Africa to revive stakeholder, partner, and interested parties' engagements on what we're doing so far, but framing this to work towards working towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. But we highlighted or saw challenges in the sense that of language, right? A lot of the international Evolve for Action campaign information is shared in English. So in Africa, we try to include that in different languages going forward, so it includes more people. Also, with our current pandemic at the moment, COVID-19, we are engaging virtually like we are today. And we can see that a lot of engagements are going to happen this way. So how can we use different forms of engagement regionally and nationally other than virtual to ensure we leave no one behind? So that's from the Africa region for now, and looking forward to the engagements. Thank you. Sausan?
Thank you, Fazila, and thank you for the African team for all the great work as well. And we look forward to your action plan, which will be definitely inclusive in May. Thank you. If we have burning questions, we have one burning question to Anna Erica. I can see from the chat is burning and it's on fire with all the positive remarks on everyone's presentations. So the question for Anna Erica is, Is the APC Hub a virtual platform or online sessions or a group? And this question is from Fazila Hussein. Anna, please unmute yourself and answer.
Thank you, Sultan. Yeah, and thank you, Fazila, for asking that question. So to clarify a bit, very briefly, APC Hub is essentially a group of people, young people who are the communications people from various VOPEs in the region. And we decided to come together, create a group, and coordinate in making sure that all evaluation matters are being communicated to everyone. So, at the very least, no group is left behind, and we're all in the same field. Now, we're still trying to figure out, like, at the moment, it's just a group of people just coordinating, but we're still trying to figure out how to expand the platform further, and we'll see how it goes from there. But yeah, that's what APC Hub is in a very in its gist. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Erica, and thank you, Fazila, for this engagement. And now we are going to look at the highlights and the proposed ideas for 2021 based on the Eval for Action survey that we have answered a while back. I'm sure we're all very interested to hear the outcomes of the survey, and it will be presented by Marco Sigoni. Marco, please, the mic is yours.
Thank you very much. Well, really, dear friends, I've been active in the international evaluation community for more than 30 years now. Let me say frank and clear that this campaign is the one that has achieved the most progress in such a short time with virtually no funding. And that has been possible only thanks really to the engagement of each of us. Because we always say that the DNA, the core of this campaign is really the engagement, is the ownership of each of us. And that's why we really wanted to have this informal consultation with the 44 leaders of the campaign. But the campaign is much more than the 44 leaders who have joined today. And to kick off, we wanted to hear from anybody or everybody who wanted to share with us as a group about how they feel about the campaign. And that's why this survey was launched. Next slide. So just very quickly, we had a quite good geographical representation when it comes to the respondents. You can see about almost 40% from Asia Pacific, 20% from LAC, almost 20% from Africa, and then 20% from other regions. And also the affiliation, more than that, the half of them, of the respondents, were either linked to the VOPEs or to Eval-Use chapters, and that's great. But you can see the diversity. We also had representatives from the government, from NGOs, independent evaluators, from the private sectors, etc., etc. Next. And one of the questions was really how easy it is to find what you are looking for when it comes to the campaign. And being an advocacy and communication campaign, obviously communication is very important. And really here, I really would like to congratulate the core group who is managing the website, Neha, Bikem, and Sanne, because almost 70% say that it's always or often easy to find all the material and resources that are available in the website. So really a big congratulations to the communication colleagues. Next. Another important element is that different people as engaging in the campaign in different ways. And once again, I think that's really a value addition of the campaign. So they have engaged not only through, let's say, email, but also through the Twitter chat, to the regional consultation, social media, to the commitment drive, the global marathon, etc. And of course, I mean, these are mainly virtual means, But keep in mind that unfortunately 2020 was about staying at home. So I think that the campaign has been able really to leverage this unique year of 2020 that was characterized by a global, almost virtual, a global lockdown, as leveraged the social media to engage people. And one of the lessons learned is that through social media, we have been able to engage people who usually are not able to engage because of challenges in traveling, either for the tickets of the air or for getting the visas, etc. So I think that's also a lesson learned from last year. Next. Now we ask what worked and obviously also what could be improved. When it comes to what worked, here you can, the screen, you can see the answers. So it's bringing people together and mobilizing partners, engagement of young and emerging evaluators, creating awareness on evaluation and SDGs, collective action to push evaluation agenda, continue and regular interaction during the COVID-19 using virtual platforms, what I just mentioned before, real-time updates on social media and dialogue, communication among various stakeholders on the crafted messages, networking and frequent communication, and the global coverage. So these are all the elements that colleagues have felt that work well. Now, in the next slide, we can see what are the suggestions where we could do better. So one is we should make more awareness raising around the decade of action. So we have the decade of evaluation of action that is aligned to the United Nations decade of action to accelerate the progress towards the SDGs. Second aspect is to enhance the outreach to the policymakers, to the general public and officials outside typical evaluation circles. We have, under the leadership of Honorable Kabir, we have been trying hard to reach out to parliamentarians, for examples, but definitely much more needs to be done, not only in terms of reaching out to policymakers and official outside of the evaluation circles, but also in terms of reaching the grassroots level, the community level, and also prioritize inclusivity, gender, people with disabilities, indigenous people, etc. Work in different languages, and in reality, somehow I should say that a big effort has been done. We have heard from our regional colleagues and regional friends all the effort they have done in translating material and even in having the consultations with live translations in different languages, and that I think it was great. But probably there is need to do more. Greater balance in geographical events, a mix of virtual and face-to-face events organized at national level, and definitely, hopefully, with 2021 and beyond, as long as the pandemic will phase out, it will be possible to also go back to a better balance between virtual and face-to-face events. Then include more cross-regional cooperative actions and events, promote stories of actions using videos, and also have more interactive sessions. Next. But the bulk of the initiative is really led by the regions, by each of you in your own respective regions. And here you can see what the respondents are asking for. They are asking for regional dialogue on national evaluation policy and systems. They are asking for capacity building for young evaluators. They are asking for talk show on the use of evaluation for SDGs and awareness on professionalizations. Next. The very good news is that almost 94% of the respondents, they said that they would like to engage with regional partners. And here in the screen, you can see how what the different ways that they would like to engage. But that's, once again, is the DNA of this campaign. It's really about engaging people, engaging colleagues and friends, and making sure that the campaign is owned by all of us in our own diversity. Next. So in summary, what do we need is a strong community. Sorry, in summary, what we have is a strong community feeling, collective energy, communication, networking, and advocacy, and a strong willingness to actively engage. And also, what needs to be done more is to expand inclusivity, both in terms of policymakers as well as in terms of gender, people with disabilities, indigenous people, including at the grassroots level, facilitate mutual learning and experience sharing, and promote action, including using video. Next. So what are the proposed ideas for 2021 and beyond? First, follow up on the regional consultations. And here is where the regional partners need to take the leadership in following up the activities. From the global level, what you can expect is technical inputs to develop regional action plans, but also establish regional communication hubs, as the Asia Pacific example, and also cross-fertilization of resources and evaluation products developed by regions. Next. The second, as Kabir already reminded us, is that 2020 was the year of commitments to action. Well, 2021 has to be the year of action. And that's why we would like to call for a walk the talk video call. So encourage self-reporting of the commitment done last year and generate further action towards the delivery of the commitment. So the idea is to launch this walk the talk video call on the first anniversary of the campaign, the 7th of April, via a multi-stakeholder Twitter chat. Post the Twitter chat, partners and beyond will be encouraged to share short videos showcasing actions towards influential evaluations. And the idea is that through this walk the talk video call, we will invite not only those who committed to action to showcase what actual action they've taken, but also anybody else who has taken actions towards influential evaluations, etc., to share their experiences with everybody else. Next. And third is facilitate mutual learning across region. So the idea is to have a combination of global talk show and regional and national events. So talk show on how to accelerate progress around the key areas of commitment, but also to showcase progress on the regional consultations. Next. And last but not least, the regional activities. So regional dialogue on national evaluation policy and systems, workshops on the use of evaluation for SDGs, capacity building events for young evaluators, and awareness raising on professionalization of evaluations. Next. So once again, this campaign is really about each of us. Each of us has the power to make this a campaign either a success or a failure. So it's really about working together, valuing our own diversity in terms of gender, organization, region, language, you name it, to come together to value this diversity, to make sure that together we can make a difference. Thanks a lot. Over to you.
Thank you, Marco, for the great presentation, for the great information, and for also leaving us with a question to ponder about for the future, and I guess also for the presentations right now, the breakout sessions, I mean. So now we're going to move on to the breakout sessions. There will be 6 groups based on each region. You will have 20 minutes for group discussions. And once you enter the room, you will find a link to the Google Slides document where we will share with you the questions for the discussion. Please assign one person who will be making the presentation and type any notes that you may find, either if you find them that they're important or just draft notes, please add them because you don't know how they will complete the puzzle for Eval for Action in the future. Our questions for discussion include, in 2021, which strategic activities do the partners in the region agree to jointly organize? About 2 activities, more or less. Which additional partners from the region and beyond can be mobilized to partner in the chosen activities? And finally, how do you plan to collaborate with Eval for Action campaign for the planned activities? We will now break out into the breakout rooms for each region. The production team will help us do so. We will see you all after the 20 minutes. So we hope you had engaging and rich discussions. Right now, our regional representatives will begin the presentations. And as we did previously in the order of the regional consultations, we will begin with Asia Pacific with Anna Erica. Anna Erica, please present to us the highlights of your discussion. Please note that you have 2 minutes.
Hi. Okay, thank you for having me. So very briefly with what we came up with, I was in the breakout room with Asela, Rashmi, and Rajib. So for our activities, we actually already have, from what Marco have talked about earlier, most of them we already have in the pipeline. So an example of which was the Asia Pacific Winter School is already ongoing, scheduled this March. We are also, have plans for webinar series on professionalization. We just recently announced the APEA EQI Joint Conference to be, although this is going to be happening on 2022, the preparations are already ongoing, starting as early as January this year. And also there are also, we also have this, intentions of having another regional dialogue on national evaluation policies, although what we've discussed is to have this as an annual event on, catching up with the partners on their status of their NEPs and, for other countries to continuously keep receiving lessons on how to push for NEPs be established in their countries. And then for new ideas for activities, one is for the strengthening of the APC hub. It's been observed that apparently it's only the Asia Pacific region who doesn't have a major Google group with all of the evaluators and partners in one group together for us to be able to announce our events. So it would be good communication strategy for us to do this and collaborate with VOPES and Eval Youth in the region to create this one combined Google group. And also, we've talked about, exploring inclusion of other languages in the region, and, aside from having English. So yeah, and then for our partners, we've listed out the classic ones, although we wanted to this time around, we wanted to prioritize engaging media and private sectors more into our programs and activities. And lastly, for a collaboration, of course, the main top of the head, it's production and marketing support for our events, and also inclusion of the E4A in the APC hub. So the Eval for Action campaign team would always be updated of what's ongoing in the region. And then we want to engage the E4A as well for inter-regional collaboration, as we have observed, at least in my experience in Eval Youth, when it's becoming an inter-regional event involving multiple languages, the production that you need to prepare for those kinds with, a lot of translators, so on and so forth, gets more intensive as compared to just having one main language, such as English. So yeah, that's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you, Anna Erica and the Asia Pacific team. And now we're going to hear from Middle East and North Africa, presented by Mohammed Qaryuti. Mohammed Qaryuti, please, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Susan. So it was an interesting and fruitful discussion. But many ideas came out. However, we would like to highlight that during our, in terms of activities during our next Evalmina conference, Eval for Action activities are going to be included either as a general theme of the conference or one of the main pillars during the conference. And based on the TOR developed by UNFPA, an action plan document will be developed and detailed research that would inform the action. Also, again and again, we will work on activating the role of VOPs, both our national VOPs and our Evalmina regional VOP as well. Promoting the evaluation culture even among evaluators themselves. In terms of partners, continue inviting policymakers and lawmakers to our activities, including our major activity, the Evalmina conference, to be more inclusive and try to advocate also for evaluation, continue educating for evaluation. Also, we need to plan for bringing more and new people on board, bring new faces. Again, the public and private sectors roles need to be activated in the Eval for Action campaign. That's all from our side. Thank you, Susan. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mohammed Qaryuti and the MENA team. And now we will move to Latin America and the Caribbean. And Claudia Oliveira, please go ahead and present your group's outcomes.
Thank you, Susan. I just think these notes are not quite updated, but it's all right. I'll show the other one. Well, first, we said from the consultation, we have 2 actions emerged that are very important. These are initial steps, but are very important to make sure we sustain our work in a fruitful, stable, and committed ground. So these are, the first is to launch the regional working group. This is the space where we expect to invite this diverse and inclusive set of stakeholders. And we have a few synergies that are very important there that I will let you know further. That's especially about the new role that RELAC is playing in the region. We want this to be an open space and an inclusive space. And the second one is to develop the agenda. And to develop this agenda, this regional agenda, we have to be based in all the efforts that already exist in the region. So we do not want to invent the wheel, let's say, but we want to take all these very important efforts that are being made already and articulate them into a regional agenda. Regarding partners, we have to build a strong working group with wide inclusiveness. So there we have defined 2 main levels of participation. One that's stakeholders, and then is where I told you that we think RELAC could play a very important role to include all VOPs and to include individual evaluators and all kinds of stakeholders that are willing to be part of this community, to make sure the evaluation and this agenda is owned by society, in the sense that evaluation should be a public good. This is very important because plus the sanitary or the health and the social crisis that we have in the region, we also have a political crisis in which we're sure evaluation can and should play a key role. Okay, so we have 3 main products that we want to develop this year and with which have been talking. First of them is the group and the agenda that should be brought in that group. The second one is the inventory of all these evaluation activities and actions that are being held in the region, in which we know we have to disseminate these actions to motivate people and to stimulate learning. And the third one was a very important idea that Tessie was just sharing with us at the end of the discussion. We could not go much deeper in it, but it's very important. It's about funding ideas and the need to prioritize and find time to follow up and to do this work, because we know that basing all this work in voluntary work, it's not easy to do. There are many challenges regarding that. You know, most of our organizations are changing. They're leading teams in this period. So in order to make it sustainable, we should work in those funding ideas. Fourth very important thing is that we're sure we need broader communication and awareness of the Able for Action campaign with governments, but not exclusively with governments. So we have to focus in a national, but also in a more local level, to leverage evaluation interest in the social sector and increase the evaluation use and advocate for the use of more evaluation. I don't know, this is the main discussion, and I don't know if Giovanna, Tessie, Silvia, or Laura want to add something. If so, please feel free to use the chat or to open your mic.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And as this is a live document, if further group members have any points to add, please go ahead and add them at the end. This will all be documented for moving forward purposes. And now, and thank you to all the team members, of course. Now we're going to move to Europe, presented by Lauren Waste. Lauren, go ahead, unmute yourself and show us what you and your work and your group have done.
Great, thank you, Sasan, and hello, everyone. So the European group similarly discussed these three topics. In terms of question one, we were reiterating that we have two activities already planned as work streams going into 2021 that align with the Eval for Action campaign and take our regional consultation ideas forward. So the first is our new thematic working group 7 on EU policies. And then secondly, the work around the good Anthropocene that Veronica introduced in her presentation earlier. We had a larger discussion though that for EES, our strategy for the Eval for Action campaign has been really trying to incorporate the themes and learnings from the regional consultation and Twitter events and other activities that we've done into the broader strategic framework of the EES, so that we can also help to ensure their sustainability within the EES moving forward. So we've aligned many of our activities to the Eval for Action campaign. In addition to the two that Veronica introduced, I also want to note that as big data and capacities around managing such data were highlighted in our regional consultation, we also had a webinar in early January on this theme where we brought in speakers. And we'll be continuing with further activities with another webinar coming up in either February or March, as well as our podcast and blog series to further explore these areas. So then second, in terms of partners, one very important point that we want to improve on in 2021 is our engagement of young and emerging evaluators. They played a very crucial role in our regional consultation as they were some of our facilitators and also some of the ones doing it in multiple languages. And so going forward in 2021, we want to continue to work with them, both the young and emerging evaluators that are part of the EES group, but also who are part of the French national chapter. So that is one area that we will look to improve our working. Other partners, we've continued to work with Eval Youth on our webinar campaigns, other international organizations, including the GEF and UNDP, foundations like the Rockefeller Foundation, et cetera. So we're trying to have sort of a global reach of partners to continue the discussions on these topics. We're also actively working to improve our partnerships with the European Commission. We had them as speakers during our regional consultation and continue to collaborate with them in our new thematic working group 7 on EU policies. And then last, but perhaps most important, is to continue to improve our collaboration both with NESI and with national VOPEs in Europe, for instance, for working on the P2P, peer-to-peer initiative. And so question 3 of how we plan to collaborate with Eval for Action. This is pretty related to the point above, that we will continue to work with our key partners on our initiatives. And I want to take the time to thank Khalil Bitar, who was one of our speakers in December for our Good Anthropocene webinar, who had some excellent contributions about how to engage youth and focus on youth evaluations, and has graciously offered to continue working with us on this Good Anthropocene workstream. So I believe that is it. Veronica, I invite you to add anything in comments as well. Steal that idea from the speaker before me, but otherwise I pass it back to you, Sasan. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, and very, very nice summary of future steps. And now we're going to hear from Eurasia, presented by Natalie Kocheleva. Natalie, please, the floor is yours. Go ahead.
I think this is Dimitro.
That
sorry, Dimitrio, please
I
go
can be
ahead.
the presenter, so no problem. So first of all, as I've mentioned, our priority is Eurasian Evaluation Forum, which we are going to conduct at the end of May in cooperation with Eval Youth ECHO. Also, another important priority among the others is taking young and emerging evaluators as the interns to evaluation teams in various organizations and UN agencies. As for the partners, we are foreseeing to involve UN agencies in the activities in a more important, more active manner, so that we will coordinate and cooperate with them more closely. Also, academia is our priority, and activization of the education of evaluation in academia, and of course various studies and research activities on the evaluation. Also the business becomes more and more important in evaluation in public sector and in evaluation of its public inputs. Also, various countries in our region have governments, monitoring and evaluation departments, units which deal exclusively with monitoring and evaluating the programs, governmental and other public programs. So they are the key, our key partner in the field of cooperation with the governments and of promotion of the evaluation and of SDGs in the agenda. And also there are youth-led grassroots initiatives that work for promotion of the Sustainable Development Goals. They are active. They are represented by numerous youth, including young and emerging evaluators. And so we are expecting to cooperate, to promote cooperation with them, and to assist them in being more and more active and in inputting the evaluation of the SDGs into the agenda and into the public agenda in our region. Thank you. Over.
Thank you, Dimitrio. And it's really nice to see the active role of young and emerging evaluators in your points, as well as the other regions' points. And last but not least, we will hear from Africa, presented by Mark Mulubi. Mark, please unmute yourself and present us with your points.
Okay, thank you, Susan. My name is Mark Mulubi. At our group, we had a very good discussion. And part of our discussion revolved around developing an action plan to respond to different themes, such as Made in Africa approaches. And this is going to be done by creating awareness. We already planning to have two sub-regional consultations. And we also planning to have additional webinars on very specific themes. And this will be carried all throughout the year towards even when we'll be having our AFREA conference later in the year in September. And we are looking a few, to partner with a few members. We've talked to UpNode. We've also talked to Global Evaluation Initiative, African Development Bank. We also talked about motivating national VOPEs to take discussions forward on the national evaluation policy systems. And this will be done right from AFREA, whereby we'll also be organizing a workshop. We already have some potential partners that will partner in this workshop to Ndembele. And this workshop will be, it's to guide the conversation now. Once we have the workshop now, VOPEs will be able to take it to the national levels. And that will be part of, as part also a way of creating awareness. And the third point, we talked about motivating and building the capacities of evaluators. Essentially, we realized that it is not only the young and emerging, sometimes who want to have their capacity built. There are also people out there, who are interested in evaluators, in evaluation, and they need that. And we are tackling this through VOPES Academia. We already have Clear AA, to train the Ys and coach them, and these evaluators who may need that extra training. Initial sessions with VOPEs to hear, we'll also have that to hear what the VOPEs are doing so far to build the capacities. And on our third question on collaborating with Eval for Action campaign, I think we had a very good engagement with them, and we'll invite them even in our different activities, and they'll be part of, they can act at different level as resource persons, and we'll take this further and give them indigenous knowledge to incorporate in the global campaign. Thank you so much. Thank you, Susan. Over to you.
Thank you, Mark. And it's really very interesting to see the inclusivity in your presentation. This is very, very interesting. All right. Now, we are almost at the end of the event today, but before we conclude, we would like to hear a summary and a way forward from our very own Eval for Action co-leaders, starting with Marco Sigoni. Marco, please lead the way.
Yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Really great to hear all the great idea. As I mentioned in the beginning, 2021 and beyond should really be the years of action. So on our side, we will try really our best to facilitate more and more people and more diverse people to take action, to use evaluation to inform the acceleration towards the sustainable and equitable development. So from what I hear from the regional presentations, perhaps just two highlights from my side. First, really, great that there are also new ideas of doing also joint conferences, of doing schools, either winter or summer school, etc. So just to say, try as much as possible to frame them within the Eval for Action campaign, to try each time to call for commitment to action and try as much as possible to focus on the Eval for Action teams. The second is really the importance, once again, of a diverse multi-stakeholders partnership. So I think, as also mentioned by the respondent of the survey, we should strive more and more to be inclusive, to try to reach out to those who have not been reached out so far. And they were mentioned about reaching out to media and private sector, and that's great. But really, I think we should also really try to reach out to new faces, to those who usually do not have the opportunities to engage in these kind of campaigns and to engage with evaluation. So last two things. Well, a big thanks to my friends, co-chairs, Khalil and Kabir. They are really very, very strong leaders and really very, very committed. So thanks a lot. Also, big thanks to, let's say, the core communication team, Azela, Neha, Biken, and Sanne. Also, I would like to thank once again Tessie, Cassambas, and Encompass, who have been facilitating all the regional consultations. Encompass is talking about private sector. Encompass is a private company, but they did all these facilitations, free. So it's really very much welcome. And obviously, thanks a lot, Southsand, for facilitating in an excellent and great manner this informal consultation, including all our friends and colleagues from the Evalues Sri Lanka who did all the production, and of course all the regional leaders who joined today. Once again, and then I will close from my side. This is really our campaign, your campaign. If you have a good idea, you don't need the permission of anybody to implement it. If you have a good idea, just mobilize how many people you can and just implement it. As I said, this campaign will be a success only if each of us will really commit to it and will move to actions. Once again, thanks a lot. Over.
Thank you, Marco, and thank you for leaving us with a very simple idea to just take action. This is really excellent. Thank you. And it's my honor to facilitate today. Moving to Khalil Bitar, who will also provide us with a summary and a way forward. Khalil, please go ahead.
Thank you, Sausan, and everyone who presented today. It was really important, and listening to the presentations, what I think is most important is that we know the people who have been doing the things. They are not bullet points there on PowerPoint, but their action and sweat and a lot of hard work, and everybody is doing it volunteering. So that is very important. I also, actually, before I mention my point, I also want to thank Sausan for facilitating today, for a great facilitation, and the SLEVA team, as well as the communication team from our colleagues in UNFPA and everyone else. But we talked today about a lot of the progress and achievements and way forward. It's not a secret to say there was challenge when we started with the campaign. One of the main challenge was that, people in general thought, so what campaign? Why campaign? We're used to structures, certain structure that we work with, and there was some resistance in the community. And after that, three things that happened from many of the leaders here that changed everything and made this campaign more understood as advocacy campaign. First, the buy-in from partners. They believed in the idea, they thought it's very important. The second thing is their ownership of the campaign and taking it forward with activities, with actual actions. And the third was the cross-regional work, and which I predict that in 2021 we'll see more of that. I also predict that, you know, as much as we discussed in the chat, hoping to meet in person, that a lot of it 2021 will be virtual, but maybe hopefully in different regions we will continue to do activities. But as observations of what said, first of all, I found that most regions spoke about this action plan that is needed and which is really, really important. And we have already examples from APIA who did great progress on this, the MENA region also working on it, and other regions. The second thing is the focus on young and emerging evaluators. It is music to my ears, of course, but also I feel even with that point, a couple of years ago, there was a resistance. You know, why young and emerging evaluators? Now, it's kind of started to be taken for granted because they are part of they are not competing with the VOBI, they are working with the VOBI and the best example they provided. And the third thing is partnering with people outside the evaluation field. Many of you mentioned the private sector, public sector, other people from everywhere. So I think the focus on partnership is very important. And my last point, and this is really the most important point from my perspective from all presentation, is that like one colleague mentioned, not inventing the wheel from and doing completely different activities from the VOBI objectives, but integrating eval for action for what we are doing in our VOBIs, in our daily work, because this is how it could be successful. Marco always says, let 1,000 flowers bloom. And I think already we started to see that in eval for action. There are flowers blooming, they are part of eval for action, but they are related to their environment. And I think this is the future of eval for action, and we have a long, nice way to go. Thank you so much for everybody, and look forward to working with you in the future. Back to you, Sausan.
Thank you so much, Khalil, for organizing all these steps for us and for leaving us with such a nice visual. I think for the rest of the day, I will be thinking of blooming flowers. Thank you so much. So before we close the meeting, I would like to personally thank and invite you also to thank the production team from Sleva Secretariat, Dulmina and Janda and Maduka for all their great work. And I also want to personally thank from my side, Asella, Neha, Pekin, and all the other Eval for Action team who have supported us along the way and made today happen. And thank you all for attending today and for your great ideas, your participation, for, you know, just the push for moving forward. Please stay in touch with us at the email and the newsletter. And if we do not get to see each other in person this year, I hope we get to meet at least online on the next event. Thank you all. We are closing this event on a very positive note, and see you all next time. Bye.